And she conceived again and bare a daughter. And she called her name Milcah. And she again conceived and bare a daughter, and she called her name Sarah. That's Abraham's wife right there. His cousin, like I told you earlier. Haran was 42 years old when he begat Sarah, and was in his 10th year of life of Abraham. So Abraham was 10 years older than Sarah. And she was a baby. He probably was holding her. Literally. She was a baby, changing her diapers. And in those days, Abraham and his mother and nurse went out from the cave, as the king and his subjects had forgotten the affair of Abraham. And when Abraham came out from the cave, he went to Noah and his son Shem. Noah and Shem of the flood. This is his great-grandfather and great-grandfather. And his ways, and no man knew where Abraham was. And Abraham served Noah and Shem, his son, for a long time. And Abraham was in Noah's house 39 years. Now you get to see why Abraham was the way he was, so strong in his faith. Look who he's raised by. The man here that saved all mankind from the flood, from being extinguished. And Abraham was in Noah's house 39 years. And Abraham knew the Lord from 3 years old. "39 years old. And Abraham in Noah's house 39 years. And Abraham knew the Lord from 3 years old. And he went in the ways of the Lord." So that's 36 years of serving the Lord. "Until the day of his death, as Noah and his son Shem had taught him. And all the sons of the earth in those days greatly transgressed against the Lord. And they rebelled against him. And they served other gods." The whole world was in paganism. The whole world was steeped into the ancient occult. The whole world. Thanks to Nimrod, the progenitor of paganism. You can thank Nimrod for Christmas. You can thank Nimrod for Halloween, Feast of Samhain. You can thank Nimrod for Easter, Ashtar, Lupercals, Valentine's Day, pagan holiday. He's the founder of the ancient occult. You can thank him for child sacrifice. And making that part of his sick, incestuous religion. But look at this, out of the whole earth, you just got a handful that turned their back on paganism. Most people can't do it. They're not real Protestants. You don't see them wearing the Acts 2 church or the book of Acts and them celebrating Christmas, Halloween, having kids. I'm talking this is specific of a Christian, so I'm not talking to the world. But we're going to read the end of the book how God feels about that. What you thinking you can mix the worship of demons, these helly days, and serve God, how he feels about it. We're going to read about that down the road. But here, we got a real protest in here. Abraham. I told you Abraham was the first person. He's going up against the founder of the ancient occult. Luther took on the pedal pope. The Rome that brought us all this paganism. It's a Jezebel or church is mentioned in Revelations 17. It's the church. Full of abomination, paganism. It's done morphed over the years. And Abraham was in Noah's house 39 years, and Abraham knew the Lord from 3 years old, and he went in his ways of the Lord until the day of his death, as Noah and his son Shem had taught him. And all the sons of the earth in those days were greatly transgressed against the Lord, and they rebelled against him, and they served other gods, and they forgot the Lord, who had created them in the earth. And the inhabitants of the earth made unto themselves at that time every man his god. Gods of wood, gods of stone, which could neither see, hear, and men served them, and they became their gods. And the king and all his servants, and Tar with his household, were whole world's pagan. This is what Abraham's dealing with. Don't wish me no happy, hell ain't nothing. No helly wing, no. Helly Xmas, I don't celebrate none of these pagan helly days. And you know it from. It's brought to us via by Rome. Pope Sixtus the Third, 666, with his number translated. Signed a paper bull issuing in all these pagan holy days. State-sponsored religion, Catholicism, state-sponsored Christianity, forced it down. I tried to, some of them, the early Christians, some of them rebelled. Tried to force it down their throats. Make it mandatory, everybody recognizes pagan holy days. We don't here, street person. Then the word of the Lord came is served with woods of gods of wood and stone. Think of Christmas tree. It's an item. It's a phallic symbol of Nimrod's erect peace. Phallic symbol. It has multiple meanings, but that's one. And Terah had 12 gods of large size, made of wood and stone, after the 12 months of the year. So he had a god for representing each year. He served each one monthly, so every month he'd switch off on the wooden gods he would serve. And every month Terah would bring his meat offering and drink offering to his gods. Thus did Terah all the days. And in all that generation were wicked in the sight of the Lord. And they thus made every man his God. But they forsook the Lord who had created them. It talks about that in Romans. I believe it's Romans chapter 2, 1, 2, or 2. Maybe chapter 2. Where God said he turned them over to a strong delusion. I believe they don't like, but when they knew God, they glorified him not God, as God, but became vain in their imagination and corrupted the true and holy God into corruptible images made of man, into 4-foot beasts and creeping things. He talked about homosexuality. He said he gave themselves over to that. God let them give themselves over to that. Gave up on it. Turned them over to a strong delusion, believe their own lies, like, okay, you want to do it your way, thy will be done, instead of my will be done, okay, go ahead. That's where you're going, hellfire. Talked about the men screwing men and the women screwing women. That's of Satan. Satan's religion, perversion. He's the pervert. He needs to take that which, he's the god of perverts. He needs to take that which belongs behind and put it in front. That which belongs in front, place it behind. Follow the pervert. Pervert's religion. Name of God. God made man and woman in marriage and children. Anything else is unnatural. Goes against nature. Goes against God. Going against nature. Satan is totally against nature. Even being occult, you have to do blasphemous rituals that make your stomach turn. You have no idea how low Satan can get in his religion. The Bible mentions that it's a shame to even talk about what goes on in the occult. This is what Abraham's up against here. The ancient occult. And all the generations were wicked in the sight of the Lord. And he thus made every man his God. But they forsook the Lord who had created them. And there was not a man found in those days in the whole earth who knew the Lord, for they served each man his own God, save Noah and his household, and all that those who were under his counsel knew the Lord in those days. That's it, the whole earth. And Abraham, the son of Terah, was waxing great in those days in the house of Noah. And no man knew it, and the Lord was with him. And the Lord gave Abraham an understanding heart, and he knew all the works of that generation were vain, and that all their gods were vain and were of no avail. And Abraham saw the sun shining upon the earth. And Abraham said unto himself, surely now this sun that shines upon the earth is God, and him will I serve. And Abraham served the sun in that day, and he prayed to him. And when the evening came, the sun set as usual. And he said, this cannot be God. And Abraham still continued. The sun set. He said, this can't be God. God just went away. And Abraham still continued to speak with himself. Who is he who made the heavens and the earth? Who created up on the earth? Where is he? And the night darkened over him. And he lifted up his eyes toward the west, north, south, east. And he saw that the sun had vanished from the earth. And the day became dark. And Abraham saw the stars and the moon before him. And he said, surely this is God who created the whole earth as well as man. Behold, these his servants and our gods around him. And Abraham served the moon and prayed to it all that night. And in the morning, when it was light, the sun was shone upon the earth as usual. Abraham saw all the things that the Lord had made upon the earth. And Abraham said unto himself, surely these are not gods that made the earth. He's talking about the sun and the moon and the stars, and all mankind, but these are servants of God. And Abraham remained in the house of Noah, and there knew the Lord and his ways. And he served the Lord all the days of his life. And all the generations forgot the Lord and served other gods. Gods of wood, of stone, and rebelled all their days. Whole world against God, following the chief rebel Nimrod. And King Nimrod reigned securely. And all the earth was under his control. And all the earth was of one tongue and words of union. That's what they're trying to get now. One world order. One world religion. One with modern technology. You can speak to a machine and be speaking another person's language. And all the princes of Nimrod and the great men took counsel together. Phut, Mizraim, Cush, and Canaan, with their families. And they said to each other, come, let us build ourselves a city, and in it a strong tower, and its top may reach into heaven. And I touched on that earlier. And we will make ourselves famed, so that we may reign upon the whole earth. And in order that the evil of our enemies may cease from us, that we may reign mightily over them, that we may not become scattered over the whole earth on account of their wars. And they all went before the king and told the king these words, and the king agreed with him in this affair, and he did so. And all the families assembled, consisting of about 600,000 men, a great number there, 600,000. And they went to seek an extensive piece of ground to build a city and a tower. And they sought in the whole earth, and they found none like the valley of the east of the land of Shinar, about 2 days' journey long. And they journeyed, and they and the 12, and they dwelt there. And they began to make bricks and burn fires to build the city and the tower that they had imagined to complete. And the building of the tower was unto them a transgression. Now, in case you think this is myth or something, they found the same spot the Bible talked about was in Shinar, where God said it was, Durham circle, where they put that tower. And they found proof of that tower. That tower did exist. God said it would be a third left rebel. There's a testimony. He wiped out the 2/3 of it. But this is the largest man-made construction ever. Period. You're going to read about a little bit about it in a minute. And they began to make bricks and burn fires to build the city and the tower that they had imagined to be complete. And the building of the tower was unto them a transgression. The rebellion against God. Pride. It was a building of pride. And of sin. And they began to build it. And whilst they were building against the Lord of heavens, the Lord God of heavens, they imagined in their hearts to war against him, to ascend into heaven. I told you. I told you what they were building this tower to go to war. I told you that earlier, touched on it earlier. They were serious. I mean, to us it seems foolish and clownish, but they were serious. That's the point of it. They thought some bow and arrows would kill God. And all these people, and all these people and all the families divided themselves into 3 parts. The first said, we will ascend into heaven and fight against him. The second said, we will ascend into heaven and place our own gods there. We'll take our pagan statues and put them in heaven. So ignorant and blind man can get when he gets away from God. He's totally dark and ignorant. Place our own gods there and serve thee. And the third part said, we will ascend into heaven and smite him with bows and spears. Going to take God out with some bows and spears. Some wooden bows and spears. And God knew all the works and all their evil thoughts. And he saw the city and the tower which they were building. So here's invisible God looking over and said, let me see what man's up to. And here's man trying to climb to the top with his bow and arrow so he can start a war in heaven, and also plant his pagan statues in heaven. Their gods that they carry around. That's blind, deaf, dumb, can't move, totally incapacitated. But this is their gods. They got to carry them around. They're going to carry their gods into heaven. Amazing how when man gets off track with God, he gets way off. This is how far sin can take you in rebellion. And when they were building, they built themselves a great city and very high and strong tower. And on account of the height, the mortar and the bricks did not reach the builders in their accent to it until those who went up had completed a full year. So it took a 4-year cycle just to get cement and brick mortar from the bottom. It took a full year. That's how high this tower was. So you do the math, you computer geniuses out there, you mathematicians, on what size building it would take a year for you to climb just to get to the top of the building. Now, I don't think it's no towers that I see in the earth. When you go to Chicago, I don't know what the tallest one is, probably Malaysia. I think it's in Malaysia. It's 100 stories or something. I forget. But you take that building. I don't think it'd take no 40 years if somebody was just to put those sucker things on their feet and climb that building. I don't think it'd take a year. Or if they could climb it, suspend a rope and have them climb from the top. I don't think it'd take a full year. I doubt it. So this was the tallest structure man had ever built, period. That's the point I wanted to make. I'm going to do the own calculation, probably when I get off camera here and figure it out, because I like doing stuff like that. Figure out what kind of distance we were talking about for a year for them to climb to the top. So I know. How long did it take to climb the Mount Everest? Just think about it. Mount Everest is the tallest mountain in the world. At least one of them, not the. And when they were building, they built themselves a great city and very high and strong tower. And on account, okay, I read that. Verse 28. And behold, these ascended, and others descended the whole day. And if a brick should fall, they made like a chain gang, by the way. One would carry it so far, and then another one. So they were acting like army ants. That's what they were doing. And behold, these ascended and others ascended the whole day. And if a brick should fall from their hands and get broke, they would all weep. These people really are gone. They cry for a brick. And if a man fell and died, none of them would even look at him. I told you, when you get off, you get off. They're off in the darkness here. And the Lord knew their thoughts. And it came to pass, when they were building, they cast arrows toward the heavens. And all the arrows, listen to this, all the arrows fell upon them, filled with blood. And when they saw them, they said to each other, surely we have slain all those that are in heaven. For this was from the Lord, in order to cause them to err, and in order to destroy them from off the face of the ground. And they built a tower in the city, and they did this thing daily, until many days and years were elapsed. Y'all would imagine this, if it took them a year to climb to the top. I can imagine how many years it take them to build and make this thing functional. Make it practical. Now, I don't know how they were on the elevator systems in them days, but that'd be a lot of hiking. If it take a year to get to the top, just bringing brick and mortar. But you assume they had some form of road and built some scaffolding of some type, I'm certain. This tower is no joke, but this is a man in darkness. This is why God's against the New World Order. Now you want to know. He's against it here. You're about to find out. But this is why. This is what happens when man becomes one. The Bible says, Jeremiah 17:9, the heart is deceitful above all things. So that's when you pray, that's the way, that's all. That's me, you, everything. Your mother, your brother, mother. I don't care. If they feed the homeless every day and take their shirt off and clothes and give it to them on top of it, they steal. Wicked and deceitful above all things. That's all of us, the human heart. And if you don't think so, you're under an illusion. And from that day following, they forgot each man. Oh, let me back up here. Sorry about that. Back to verse 30. For the Lord, this is from the Lord, in order for them to err, in order to destroy them off the face of the ground. God want to wipe them out. And they built the tower and the city, and they did this thing daily until many days and years were elapsed. And God said to the 70 angels who stood foremost before him, to those who were near him, saying, come, let us descend and confuse their tongues. And the one came, God said, I'm going to confuse their tongues. I'm going to change the language. It was all one tongue, one language. So they could communicate their evil. God said, I'm going to make sure they can't communicate their evil. That one man shall not understand the language of his neighbor. And they did so unto them. And from that day following, they forgot each man his neighbor's tongue. And they could not understand to speak in one tongue. And when the builder took from the hands of his neighbor lime or stone, which he did not order, the builder would cast it away and throw it up on his neighbor, that he would die. So they was frustrated because God took away their ability to communicate. So they take their mortar and throw it. And take out the guy below. And the builder would cast it away and throw it up on his neighbor, and that he would die. And when they did this so many days, and they killed many of them in this manner, and the Lord smote a third division that were there, he punished them according to their words and designs. Those who said, we will ascend into heaven and serve our gods, became like apes and elephants. And those who say turn them into a wild beast. Nothing new as he did it with Nebuchadnezzar, turn him into an ox. To graze with the wild oxen. You don't want to piss the big G off. My God. How many of you know, have heard this in the Bible, been sitting in church all your life? You know God turned men into apes and turn them into apes and turn them into elephants. Now, isn't this evolution going in reverse here? This is man devolving. I've said it for years. I said man devolved. Didn't evolve, devolved. Man was a created superior creature. Extra dimensions and everything. He devolved. This is proof right here. Only his creation evolved with this devolution here. And the Lord smote, read that again because it's so funny. And the Lord smote a third division that were there. He punished them according to their work and design. Those who said, we will ascend into heaven and serve our gods, became like apes and elephants. That's amazing. And those who said, we will smite the heaven with arrows, the Lord killed them. Who? Who killed them? Oh no. Hark, I'm thinking, I'm not hearing this correctly. Let me read it. Maybe it will come out different if I say it a different way. And the Lord killed them. No, still sounds the same way. And the Lord killed them. I don't want to mess with my God. I always said for years, ain't nobody more gangster than God. That's why I'm serving. I side with Mike. I roll with the big G. He's going to stamp out, mash out the little wannabe G right into hellfire where he belongs.